Hey everybody, this is Percy LaPointe for the Lawn and Landscape Podcast. Today I have with me somebody, his name is Kade LaFleur. He's the general manager of Tender Care Lawn Service, which is my lawn and landscape company. So I'd like to welcome him and let him introduce himself.
Great, guys. I'm excited to be here today. We're going to talk about a few things today that have helped us in business, and I hope you enjoy it.
So today's topic, we're going to be talking about upselling, the pros and the cons, and why it's important. So
man, this is super important stuff.
So I guess whenever we talk about upselling, I guess the primary purpose of it is how to make more money and how to make more profit, which is your goal. Anytime you want to upsell, that should be your main focus, servicing your clients, but also how do I make that extra money while I'm already there.
Yeah. One of the things that we've implemented in our business is we QC our yards. You know, going behind the guys, making sure that our yards look great, and that opens up the door and the opportunity to talk with the customer, to look over the yard. Any little thing that you see that you can offer that service is extra money in your pocket when you go there. You know, whether that be weed control, whatever that is in your business that is an additional service that you can offer that customer. The more services you can offer that customer, in the end, the more money in your pocket.
That's right. So let me give you an example of what an upsell would be. So I personally was going to a job. It was actually Kade and I were going to a job. It was a spraying job on a turf area. So we went to the job site. We had the chemical truck loaded down and the machine. And when we got there, we were there for a weed prevention, and I think that was it, Kate. It was just for weed prevention. Yeah. And whenever we always do a walkthrough before we do any job. And during the walkthrough, I noticed we had fungal problems. So we had already given the customer the rate. We had agreed to it, and then we noticed that he had fungal problems in the back section of the yard. It was just a certain piece of the yard. And so we basically talked to the customer, showed him the spots, said, look, I don't know what happened. This is what was missed. We do apologize. But here's what we can do. We can add the fungicide into the tank while we're spraying it if you like. And so it was a quick, I don't really know the size of the yard. I think it was like $80. It was an additional $80. One application, an additional $80 on an upsell. Now, it was the right thing to do because he had the fungal problem, but that's just an example as to what we mean by an upsell. You're already there. You're already doing the work. You can make additional revenue. If you see additional problems, you need to address them. You should be addressing the problems anyways, but it's your job to go to the customer. Now, you know, I had a little bit of, oh man, we already, you know, I'm sitting here talking with Kade, man, we already gave the guy a price. You know, is it not the right thing to do? Yes, it's always the right thing to do.
Yeah, and you know, probably the greatest thing that any business has is a customer base, and to me, that's where anybody should really start. When you go out and you look at your customer's yard, there are so many different things that you can find in the yard, from weed control to seasonal color, to trimming, mulching, anything that you can offer your customer base. And I find a lot of our customers like the seasonal color. When you go out there, you know, they have their mulch down, they have their trimming, but a lot of them want a little bit of color. And putting a flat of color out takes a minimum amount of time. It really doesn't. You know, when you go and mow, or you know, when you go and trim or do something like that, an extra 5 minutes to put a little bit of seasonal color.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that. When you talk about your customer base, it is amazing, and we even run into this as much as we communicate with our customers. They don't even know everything we do. You can tell them, send them flyers, we hit them with marketing, send them emails, and they still don't know everything you do or don't think about it. So I've had a customer go out, buy a couple flats of color, put them, they sat there and died because she couldn't put them in, and then and it was an older lady, but then I told her, hey, why didn't you have us install that for you? We could have done that for you. We take care of everything else. I didn't realize you did that. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So it's either A, we take the responsibility. If the customer doesn't know that we do it, we take full responsibility for it because we're not saying it enough or we're not talking to them enough. And that's why we're doing this audio, is to make sure that you guys understand the importance just like we understand it every day.
And in our business, I mean, we're also licensed irrigators, so we can do a lot of irrigation repairs and different things like that, which you can also spot. But also something a lot of people don't think about is monitoring your irrigation panel for your customer. A lot of people don't know when they're supposed to run their irrigation system, how long, when it's supposed to be off, when it's supposed to be on. It can be a confusing thing for a customer a lot of times. And so monitoring a panel for them when you're already going to be there mowing for a small fee, added into your service, can also be something you could probably offer that customer also.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing as a manager or business owner, here is the only con that I can think of, or the problem that we would run into. Our days are already slam full. So if we have our technicians out there on a job site and they're actually upselling and the customer expects it to be done right then and there, you're going to add hours to the day, which means uncompleted projects or yards, whatever the case may be. Our project trucks and our mowing trucks are separated, but for guys in the business that are just starting out, in which we did for years, they were the same truck. So you may pick up additional work throughout the day and then something falls off on the back end. You got to be careful with that. You got to know that balance between what can be done today. Because if you had the very last yard expect you every day on Wednesday and you upsold all morning long on Wednesday, he or she's going to be put off on Thursday, and it's going to cause problems. So you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, you definitely have to know your business and scale what we're talking about to exactly what you do. But no matter what, upselling in any business, especially lawn service, can definitely make you a lot more money.
We've gone behind and just taken our existing, like let's just say we mowed all of our yards on Monday. On Tuesday, we've called all of those yards. Hey, how'd you like the service? Just checking in with you. Is there anything else you can do or we can do for you? And it's amazing at how often you can, oh yeah, by the way, you can do this. Can you do this? Is it time for this? You'll get a lot of questions. If you get a customer asking questions, it may not be an immediate upsell, but it's basically tackling your customer and saying, hey, look, we do all of this. Any question you have outdoors, we can either find the answer. We've done vendor management. We've done a lot of stuff for these customers to make sure that we're the point of contact.
Yeah. And after you've upsold a customer, that customer trusts you. You have that customer. I think it's super, super important to track it. Track all of your upsells. Track those customers that you upsold mulch to in November. And make sure the next year in November you call that customer back, follow up with them, and offer them that upsell again. You've already gotten their trust. You've already done the work. All you have to do is call them and basically offer that service one more time. You've already gained it. You've already done the work. So don't hurt yourself by not tracking it and forgetting that you have that customer that wanted that upsell.
That's right. And always understand this. Whenever we've upsold, if you track the close rate of not a warm lead, like a cold lead, somebody just calling in, doing business with you for the first time, you track that close rate and you track the close rate of an upsell, you would be astonished as to it's high 90 close rate. They're already, like Kate said, they're already a customer. They're pretty much, hey, what's my price? What needs to be done? Hey, you've taken care of me in the past. Go ahead, get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find our customers, all it really takes is a phone call. It really does. If you've set that trust factor with them, and they've been a customer for a little while, normally all it takes is a quick phone call or a quick knock on the door or whatever that may be for you, and it normally pans out very nicely.
I know for us, what we've done is we've built out a calendar year and said, okay, January, February, this is big, March, April, this is what's in season. So we broke down the calendar year and said, okay, here's what's hot, here's what's going on right now, and then just let your customers know that.
Yeah, and we train our guys to look for certain things. If my guy goes out to a yard and he sees the yard is completely covered in weeds, he knows to take a picture, let me know about it so that I can contact that customer and attempt to make that upsell for a weed control program or whatever that might be. So again, it's kind of scaling to what business size you are. But if you are a little bit bigger, make sure you train your guys on what to look for throughout the seasons, because that can only help you.
Yeah, and again, it when you are starting off smaller, so let's go from the beginning. If you're starting off years ago, I remember this problem we were having, and don't get yourself caught up. So let me give you an example. We were just mowing yards. We get a gutter clean out person, say, hey, would you clean our gutters? We were so antsy just to make another $1 that, yes, we'll go ahead and clean your gutters. Well, then you have to turn around, you give them a price, but then you don't anticipate, okay, now I need a ladder, now I need this, now I need that tool. It actually cost me money and slowed us down. Well, we didn't make the money on the first one. We might have made it on the second or third one and thereafter, but each project that you take on that you're going to upsell, there are going to be expenses that come along with it. So if you're going to scale, make sure that you know what it's going to cost you. Don't just take everything you can get if the customer asks you to do something. It's very important to choose what you're going to upsell and make sure it fits with your business model than just taking on anything.
Yeah, definitely. That's super important. Don't just go hauling off into something for sure. Definitely think it through, know your skill set, know what it's going to cost you. The most important thing you can do is know your cost on everything.
We're kind of smiling at each other because we know we've been through this and taken on stuff that we shouldn't have.
Oh yeah, yep. I've hauled off a few times. Yep.
So, anything else you'd like to add? I mean, I think we've pretty much covered the basics. We can go on and on about upselling all day because we really, really try to push this. It's important for profit at the end of the year. An extra $100 a day or $50 a day at the end of the year makes a large amount in the bank account. So, again, this is this episode we discuss upselling. We appreciate it. We're gonna post in the podcast the link on how to reach us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. We appreciate everything. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.